So, good evening, everybody. I call to order the Select Board meeting of Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. Time is 7:36. There's a quorum of the Select Board present, Mr. Gito, Mr. Carrera, Mr. McCrisky, and Vice Chair Roberts and myself, all present. If you are able to, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance by rising. I pledge allegiance to the flag
God, it's America, the Republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Online, I see Mr. Hartman. I think you might be unmuted. I just wanted to let you know that we were able to hear you. Thank you so much. Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm going to begin by, we'll see, the first thing we're going to cover is the swearing-in ceremony for a number of police officers. I'd like to invite Chief McNamara to present, and also Deputy Chief, what was that? Oh yeah, Deputy Chief O'Connor.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to swear in our newest officers from the department. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief O'Connor. He'll say a few words about the 4 new officers to the Stoughton Police Department.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. First, I'd like to introduce Officer Michael Beatty, Jr. He's 26 years old. He's a resident of Stoughton. He graduated Stoughton High School in 2017. He graduated Westfield State University with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He started his law enforcement career by attending the Cambridge Academy and was employed for his first year of service by the Simmons University until he transferred here to Stoughton. So I'd like to welcome him. Second is Robert Smith III. He's 24 years old. He just recently graduated the Boylston Academy last month. He's a resident of Easton, graduated from Curry College with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He's a former dispatcher, starting his first responder career with the Holbrook Regional Emergency Communications Center that dispatches for us along with several other towns. And he's actually from a law enforcement type family. His grandfather retired from Brockton PD. His uncle just recently retired from Hanover PD, and his aunt is a Uniform Division Secret Service officer. So I'd like to welcome him. Next is Officer Ryan Stover. He's 27 years old. He also recently, last month, graduated from the Boylston Police Academy. He is a resident of Middleborough, graduated from Dean College with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And his prior employment had some experience as an armored guard for Loomis and as security within the Bridgewater State Hospital. So we'd like to welcome him as well. Finally, not least by any means, but finally, Samuel Willington. He's our youngest member at 23 years old. He is also a Stoughton resident and a Stoughton High School graduate from the class of 2020. He graduated last year from Bridgewater State University with a bachelor's degree in exercise physiology. And proud moment for him, I'm going to share it. I told him I was going to share it. To get ready for his law enforcement career, he lost well over 100 pounds to get where he is today. So. All set, Reggie.
State your name.
I, Ryan Stover,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as a police officer for the town of Stoughton.
as a police officer for the town of Stoughton.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to
I will bear faith, truth, and allegiance to
and will uphold and defend the Constitution
and I will uphold and defend the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
I will obey and be bound
I will obey and be bound
by such rules and regulations
by such rules and regulations
as are now
as are now
or may be
or may be
established by the town of Stoughton and its police department.
established by the town of Stoughton and its police department.
I state your name.
I, Simon Whitcomb,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will never betray my badge,
that I will never betray my badge,
my integrity,
my integrity,
my character,
my character,
or the public trust.
or the public trust.
I will always have the courage
I will always have the courage
to hold myself
to hold myself
and others
and others
accountable for our actions.
accountable for our actions.
I will uphold the Constitution,
I will uphold the Constitution,
my community,
my community,
and the Stoughton Police Department,
and the Stoughton Police Department.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name.
I, Simon Whitcomb,
Hereby accept the position
hereby accept the position
of police officer for the town of Stoughton.
of police officer for the town of Stoughton.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
If the designated family member would come up so they can pin the badges on.
We're going to do those one at a time, the badges. And then we'll do a group picture. Kelsey, so each of them are going to be pinned. So grab a picture of that so we can get a picture to them, and then we'll do a group picture.
Which angle are we going?
You want, I would do it over there so the American flag is right behind them.
Sir.
All right? We're going to do that pinning right down here, guys. One at a time. Front of the flag. Go ahead, Kelsey. Who's going to be pinning? So first, we're going to get a picture of the family, and then with the chief and the deputy. And then we'll go to the next officer. Like, sounds like a PI change. Chief, the next picture is with you and the deputy.
We're going to take a picture.
No, just individually first.
We did that right.
You did, okay, good.
With both of them.
Brian, let's go.
Taking a couple of pictures, and we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Okay, I'm going to call back to order the meeting of the Stoughton Select Board, meeting of Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. The time is 7:52. We're going to move on to our next, actually, before we move on to our next item, the town manager had asked for just a moment to make an announcement that we don't have select board citizen comments or town manager comments. There was something a little pressing that he wanted to bring up. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, we retained the Collins Center over a year ago, and due to circumstances beyond their control, beyond our control, the project got delayed because of health reasons and sunset laws and so forth. We are now accelerating the project to the point that we will have a detailed policies and procedures and policy guidebook by the time we begin this budget season, and will be used for this budget season. It became clear that we needed an active working group that had the time and had the experience to vet each chapter as we go to production, because it's our goal to give you the final product that is beyond reproach, that hits on all the keystrokes. So I put together a working group consisting of myself, Mark Tisdale, Elizabeth, of course. There's one more. Me, Biz, Mark.
John Antovino?
John Anzavino, Vaughn Anokian, who have been working diligently on this draft with Collins Center at no charge to this community. And we've asked Deborah, with her finance and accounting background, to round it out as the last member of the team representing the select board, who can work with us to read and vet and edit and modify so that we can get it to an end finished product. Deborah's agreed to do so, and I wanted the board to be aware of that. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back to you. And I know it was a big decision for Deborah, and perhaps she could comment on that.
Yeah, just before you, if you want to comment, I'd love to hear it. I will say it's an excellent choice. The vice chair has been the chair of the select board in the past, has been on the board of assessors, has been on the finance committee, I think you also have an MBA, deep financial background, and so to me this is a no-brainer. I think you made the right choice.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for.
Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you to town manager and to our board members, I would like to express my appreciation to the town manager for appointing me to the Collins Center Financial Working Group. I very much look forward to working with Tom, Mark, Elizabeth, John Ansavino, and Vani Nokian as we bring this important document to life. Although I am very proud of the financial guardrails this board has established for decades, I'm excited that we are now codifying all of the financial policies, procedures, and best practices into a single document, which includes recommendations from the Collins Center. Once finished, the document will be available online and in hard copy for all employees, boards, and committees. Again, I want to thank our town manager for this appointment and for the opportunity to apply my experience in fiscal management and policy implementation. This project will be complete in time for its use in our budgeting season. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll move on to the next order, which is order of business is the boards and committees. We have a number of appointments here, and most of them are either don't have a candidate or have only one candidate for more than one seat. So if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to take a moment just to break these out and perhaps vote on them. Go through the people, people who are running unopposed, essentially, and to fill those seats. First is the Commission on Disabilities, One vacancy, Michael Hardman, who is online, is an incumbent. And
Will you accept a nomination?
yeah, if there's a nomination to appoint him,
So moved.
excellent. In that case, I see Mr. Hardman online. If you'd like an opportunity to speak, we always love hearing from you, but also don't feel obliged.
I
Okay,
appreciate the nomination. I appreciate, we're doing a lot of good things with the Disability Commission, and I hope I'll be able to continue to do that. We've made a lot of strides in the last couple of years, and I'm looking forward to a bright future for the commission. Thanks, Steve.
thank you so much, Mr. Hardman. So on the nomination, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, so that is unanimous. Thank you very much. We have no candidates for the Council on Aging, Cultural Council, none for the Energy and Sustainability Committee. Move to Self-Help. One vacancy, and there's one applicant, Beverly Dancy. I'm not sure if Beverly is either available online or here, but is there a nomination? Krisky.
Mr. Chairman, nominate Beverly Dancy for that vacancy.
So there's a nomination for Beverly Dancy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that is unanimous. There are no candidates for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I'm going to come back to Constable. That takes a little bit more work. We're going to move on to the Board of Registrars. There's two vacancies. As I understand it, there's currently one member serving. Okay, let me take a step back here. My understanding of the rules, anybody who wants to correct me, I'm always willing to hear a different view on this, but that there have to be both Democrats and Republicans on the Board of Registrars. They don't have to be an equal number necessarily, but there has to be representation from both parties. There are three members of the Board of Registrars plus the clerk, and so we have one member who is a Democrat who is not currently being considered, and then we have two seats. So our choice is one Democrat, one Republican, or two Republicans. So we can certainly go down the line on this. Are there any nominations?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Sean Croak.
Sean Croak. Okay. He is actually, I apologize for this. I would actually, I'm a little bit under the weather, so like my head's a little foggy. I apologize. I actually would probably be appropriate to just interview all who are actually here.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, I
Mr.
apologize for that. I'm sort of getting ahead of myself. However, there was a nomination, and so we were going to exercise that. We're going to follow through on that nomination. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? None. So Sean Croak will be representing the Democrats for the Board of Registrars.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
have we looked at what the Secretary of State's office guidance is on this? It makes sense if we're going to have a board that it should be a balanced board. And if we have one party represented more than the other, I don't know the impact on that. This is the first time in my many years that that's ever come up. And I wouldn't want to see us doing something that's going to be counterproductive. And I don't know enough about the issue, to be able to make that decision. Is there any chance we can put this off to the next agenda and get some guidance first?
I think it's worth moving forward. If we add another seat, we could just add another seat, right? But I think that getting your for whatever it might be worth, I think your question is very valid and is worth exploring. And if it's okay with the town manager to reach out to town council and just see what the law requires and what the law allows in this front. Yes, Mr. Carrera.
Joe, in the past, sometimes the Republicans couldn't give a big slate, and sometimes the Democrats didn't fill a slate. That's why they don't draw a line that it has to be an even thing, because the clerk is like the backbreaker. If it ended up in a tie, that's a neutral.
No, I
position.
understand that, Scott, but then for all the years, we've never had an issue pop up, so there's really no fear of anything wrong. But what is the guidance on what it should be? Is, I mean, I don't know, and that's the question I'm asking. Is council on tonight? Are they on remote with us? No. No, okay. Is what is their duties in a challenge? And if there's a challenge to an election or so forth, all the duties, we've always had great elections. It can have issues pop up here and there, but we've never had them highly contested that we would ever have a problem that they would have to have the extra review and so forth. So that's the only question I'm asking is, is there ever going to be an issue pop up that it not level, 3 against 1 or 2 against 1? Is that ever going to be detrimental to the election process for the
So I have a question. I haven't answered your question, and I read this every year. I've read this, and it always I need a refresher. But this is Chapter 51, Section 15 of the General Laws of Massachusetts, under the heading of a Board of Registrars in certain cities and towns, appointments, terms in office. The very first sentence says, "Except as provided in Section 17." There shall be in every city, other than one having a board of election commissioners or an election commission, and in every town a board of registrars of voters consisting of the city or town clerk and 3 other persons who shall, in a city, be appointed by the mayor with the approval of the alderman, and in a town by a writing signed by the selectman and filed with the town clerk. So it's the town clerk plus 3 people by statute.
So do we appoint somebody?
I would suggest we do.
Yeah, so
I nominate Don Dino.
Well, there's the
I nominate
nomination.
Marina, Ryantz.
Reince.
Rights.
Okay. Any other nominations? Thank you so much. Okay, seeing no further nominations, we will start with the first who was nominated. All in favor of Don Dino for the Stoughton Republican Town Committee, say aye.
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 It'd be easy if you just went around the...
Oh, fair enough. Mr. Gito,
Yes.
Vice Chair Roberts,
No.
Mr. Carrera,
Yes.
Mr. McCrisky.
Yes.
I vote yes as well.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would like, if it's doable, to have interviews, because some of the people I just don't know, and with the application, all have answered the same way. So I'm somewhat at a disadvantage. Every question, as an example, let me just, and I don't want to be at a disadvantage by not appointing or nominating or voting on the best person possible. For example, all answered the question, why do you want to serve? And they said, to ensure clean voter and assist in the town roles. Every one of those applicants said the same thing, so it's kind of difficult to differentiate unless I hear from them. It may be unfair for me, but fair for everyone else, because you know, seen, work with some of the others. But But what are your thoughts on this?
Mr. Chairman, may I, if I could?
Of course, Mr.
weigh
Coulter.
in on that? I was not going to raise that issue, but now that the vice chair has, I think it's worth airing it out. It's not only that question that's answered the same way. It's pretty much all of the questions are answered the same way. And I suspect the same person made out all the applications. And I think that is an indication of impropriety that should never reach a board of registrars. I would suggest that it be thrown out and that people write their own applications and present them to this board.
Fair enough. So in the event that we take a revote, there will have to be a motion to reconsider by somebody who's voted affirmatively. Is there a motion to reconsider? Okay, seeing none, procedurally, we'll be moving forward. But I see your point, and we will do that going forward. Is Dawn Dino available? Yes. Would you like to just introduce yourself and say hi? We'd love to get to know you a little bit better. Thank you. You did get the appointment, so congratulations. But we'd certainly just like to know more about you. If you just press the button once in front,
Should be
a green
green,
light will
ma'am.
come on.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, not at all.
All right. My name is Dawn Dino from 1308 West Street. I'm precinct 4. I've been a longtime resident of Stoughton, actually all my life, and my father has been, and his father. So I'm a Stoughtonian, shall I say, Ms. Roberts. So I wanted to give you a little background of myself.
Thank you very much.
The reason why I wanted to be a registrar is because I'm passionate about democracy, you know. I would like to desire to serve the community. As a registrar, I would want to be in the forefront of assuring fair elections, maintaining accurate voter lists, basically being the cornerstone of democratic governance, you know. So, sorry, I wrote a little thing of while I was at work, because I work at Abrams Insurance Agency, 72 Island Street, that's also in Stoughton. Being a registrar offers a chance directly to contribute to the efficient functioning of my town government and serve the residents in a crucial capacity in such tasks as maintaining town census, vital records which are essential to the smooth operations of various town services. I understand this position demands meticulous attention to details in handling sensitive information, maintaining accurate records, following specific procedures related to voter registration and elections. Beyond administrative duties, the registrar helps ensure the very voice in this community and has a chance to be heard through the democratic process. I would like to make sure we ensure ourselves in preserving the town's history and a commitment to accuracy, impartiality, and community engagement. So basically what I'm saying is I would like to make sure safeguarding the integrity, accuracy, and security of our voter registration plays a vital part and key role in keeping the public front of mind and with the 7 principles, as we all know, would be honesty, integrity, objectivity, accountability, selflessness, openness, and leadership. And that's what I am bringing to my table before you guys. So that's it. Thank you. Bill me a hamburger.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, through you
Madam Vice Chair.
to the candidate, you nailed it. I know exactly who you are now. I have no questions for you. Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you for letting me speak.
It is so very nice to meet you.
It was nice meeting you as well, and I hope I was.
You absolutely were,
Okay.
in my view.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Am I dismissed?
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. McCrisky.
one question. Dawn, I was happy to vote for you.
Thank you.
I have one question. Were you coached or given any information as to how to fill out this application by anyone else?
I was not coached. I was giving a kind of a layout. I was.
Okay.
But in that, but I wanted to do it on my own. And so that's why when I wrote my own speech, I wanted to convey my own message as to why I would like to be a part of the town. Because being a town resident for so many years, I have laid back and let kind of the world has gone by. This is my time, I feel, to start doing something for our community. And so that's why I'm here, because I want to be a part of it.
Never known you to not speak up when you will need to.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah.
I love your,
Thank you.
I love
Thank
your
you.
passion.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. You're good. You're
Good to
good.
go.
We very
Okay,
much,
thanks.
very much appreciate your time. Okay, so the final appointment is for constable. We have 6 vacancies and 1 applicant in this case. It's Edward Starr. Mr. Starr, would you join us up at the table? Mr. Starr, would you join us at the front?
Thank you for inviting me.
There's a button right on the mic. If you just press that once and let go, it will turn green.
Thank you for inviting me this evening. I'm applying for, I've been a resident of Stoughton since 1971, resident of Precinct 6, a former instructor of law at the Stoughton Police Station back in the 70s. I taught law to the officers at the old Stoughton station, and I appreciate if you would consider me as having the possibility of getting the position.
Thank you very much. Do members of the Select Board have any questions? Mr. Gio is no. Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do have a question for Mr. Starr, and I was so glad he informed us that he was an attorney, because the background was not on your application. Now, I know you from town meeting, but I didn't know how your background related to being a constable. I had a question, though. Can you elaborate on this question? It says, applicant's reasoning or reason for desiring appointment. I may not be able to read what you stated, but can you just elaborate? Why would you like to be appointed?
Well, the problem is that I was defrauded of all my wealth there, and I'm running on a very, very slim account, and I'm living only on Social Security. So I thought with my background and needing the money, I would be able to get a job, because nobody wanted to hire me at my age.
Thank you very much. That's all the questions I had.
Mr. Carrera, any questions? I have none. None? Mr. McCrisky?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ed, this is a very different application that we've had, and I'm concerned, Mr. Chairman, my colleagues, by making this appointment, and it's not on who you are, Ed. You're a great guy, and you stand up on the right side of all the issues, what's right for you and for your town. But we have been stringent on the purpose of issuing constable positions. This one here on the reason, I do believe we need a better reason to appoint somebody than just looking for a job. There's nobody listed as that they would employ him in that service, which we have held other people to, that they've had to have somebody say, we will employ this person if appointed to serve civil process, and that's not here. So I'm just concerned with having other people come back and say, well, you did it for this person, you got to do it for me now. And I think we're opening up Pandora's box. Years ago, some colleagues will remember that we had to make some tough decisions because there were people putting constable badges in their wallet and just riding around. And we shouldn't be doing that. This is a very difficult, because I do think highly of Mr. Starr. He's a decent man, but I think that if he comes back with an updated application that fills in the same questions that other people have been held to, I would have no problem voting for that. But we need somebody that's going to say, we will use you in serving civil process. So that is just my thoughts. Like I said, I would love to be able to vote for him. I will when the application comes back completed like everybody else's. And that's my only comment, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. The only comment, so I'll sort of piggyback slightly on Mr. McCrisky's comments in that for constable, we do take this appointment more seriously than a lot of the other ones. We want to make sure the people who represent the town as a constable fulfill certain requirements, and there's a number of elements of that application that I didn't see here. And so and for that reason, and currently for that reason alone, I am a little reticent to move forward because if we make exceptions, then we have to make exceptions. And I would rather not. I'd rather stick with the process. Given the fact that those items are not present in this application, one way that the board may decide to move forward is to take a vote, or a vote to take no action, in which case we can work through, feeling through the additional paperwork, make sure you have that covered, and then we can revisit that when we have all the paperwork that we need. On the one hand, I don't want to make exceptions, but I also don't want to deny you without having offered you the opportunity to provide those paperwork.
I just wanted to make a comment.
If you don't mind just pressing the button on your microphone,
Make a
just press the
comment
button
at this
once.
point.
Thank you.
Yes, I have two lawyers, Mr. Starr, Starr and Starr would hire me, and Mr. Crimmins would hire me.
Excellent. And once we pull together that documentation, then we'll just put this back on the agenda and we'll vote.
Right, they weren't present when I went to get the names. The day that I was there, I had a rush to get the names that I put on there, and those attorneys weren't in office at the time. They were in court, so I couldn't get their names.
Well, so yeah, I appreciate that. I understand it. There was a deadline, and you met that deadline. What I'm saying is that we're going to, just for this particular case, extend the deadline. We can help you get all the paperwork done that you need to get done, and you don't have to rush. You're able to get the things you need together.
Yeah, so if you like, I can renew the paperwork.
Yes. So if it's okay, I'm just going to send this over to the town manager's office, probably either Gilda or somebody else in the town manager's office. Will help to make sure that that all the elements of the application are complete.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we don't have to necessarily take a vote, but if we want to take a vote to take no action right now, I'll entertain that if there's a motion to do so.
So made, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion to take no action currently, that by Vice Chair Roberts, seconded by Mr. McCrisky. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so this is sort of on hold, and we'll wait until we get all the paperwork to consider this fully.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Starr, thank you very much. Okay, the next item on our agenda is Tosca Drive roadway improvement project. Is James O'Keefe from High Point Engineering available? I think he might be online.
James is not here.
Oh, well, no, not a problem. Welcome. Excellent, excellent.
Hi. My name is Nicole Langley. I'm an associate with High Point Engineering.
Yes, we already did. I've told her.
She's looking.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah.
No, thank you. I appreciate
Just in case there's, yeah, this is informational for the time being, for the board to consider. Absolutely. And just to make sure that, I just want to make sure that, Dawn, you're aware that you were appointed?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay to stay and watch?
You can stay as long as you want. We just didn't want to subject you to it. So, apologies. You have the floor now. Could you reintroduce yourself? I've forgotten your name. I apologize.
Yes, no problem. Good evening. My name is Nicole Langley. I'm an associate with High Point Engineering. I'm here representing the applicant for Tosca Drive, who's also here, for any questions that the board may have. This plan you see here is just an overall aerial of Tosca Drive. Central Street is down here to the south. Tosca Drive comes off of that, and in about May of 2022, the applicant purchased 6 properties along Tosca Drive that are kind of outlined here that you can see, the 3 properties in the rear, and then 3 more smaller properties along Tosca. Once the property was purchased, the applicant decided to do some site improvements. And they ended up starting to do some site improvements with these 3 lower buildings, which we are calling buildings 3, 4, and 5. And I provided some plans for you to show you some of the improvements. So once the improvements were started, the applicant received a violation letter from the town of Stoughton saying they were in violation of the permitting process. They had spoken to the highway department to tell them what they were proposing to do, and then kind of went forward after that discussion, not realizing going through the planning board or the proper channels. So I had met with both the town planner, the assistant town engineer, and the building commissioner to discuss some of the improvements that were done, future improvements that the applicant would like to propose, and the best way to get the approvals through the town. So one of his recommendations was to have a survey done of the properties, of all 6 properties. And I took some aerial imagery and older Alta surveys to compare the 2 properties where the work was previously committed, to show what the site looked like prior to the improvements and what the improvements were, and I listed the improvements on the plans. The majority of the improvements are considered an improvement to what was there today. We're providing Cape Cod berms around the lawn areas, which has helped reducing erosion into the roadway, new concrete walkways toward the entrances of the buildings, dedicated striped parking spaces, which didn't exist before. And this is building 5. Thank you. So again, similar improvements. Building 5, there was a dilapidated existing concrete sidewalk within the right-of-way that had no connectivity to any other properties around. So that sidewalk was actually removed and replaced with striped parallel parking spaces within the right-of-way. Again, the lawn areas were edged with Cape Cod berm, and the sidewalk to the entrances was reconfigured. Parking spaces were striped on the property, again, for clear use of parking spaces. And the last building with the existing improvements is building 4. So again, similar areas. You can see what we had before. These walkways were cut off at the property line. This area was cleaned up, replaced with pavement and striped parallel parking spaces within the right-of-way, and then additional similar improvements on the property. At the request of the town officials that I had spoken to, they asked us to do a site visit to see if any of these improvements were detrimental to the property. While we didn't see any detrimental results from the improvements, there was a ponding area that was located over on this side of the building. It was a depression that filled up with water and, you know, in winter conditions could freeze and cause some hazards. So we are proposing to regrade that area and promote positive drainage. Sorry, one-handed. So I do have a grading plan that was submitted in your package. The hatched area is the area we're proposing to do full-depth reconstruction of the pavement, regrade it to eliminate that ponding area, create the stormwater divide based on the natural flow of the land, and promote positive drainage to the existing catch basins and eliminate that ponding area. So those are the improvements that were completed. We are asking for approval of those. We have gone through the site plan review process with the planning board, and that was approved in February of this year. So the next step is actually to come before all of you, present the project, and you know, seek approval for what was completed. So in addition to the completed improvements, the applicant is looking to do similar improvements for the remaining properties that they purchased, what we're calling buildings 1, 2, and 6, at the end of the property. Near building 6, the Tosca Drive transitions from a public way to a private way. So if you see on this plan, this line here represents that transition. It's a surveyed line. We are proposing to do some full-depth reconstruction in this area. I believe it's about close to 2,000 plus or minus square feet. If you go out there today, there's a significant dip in the roadway. It's about a 8 to 10% slope. We're proposing to kind of smooth that out and make the transition a little easier on your cars, reducing it to about 5%. Other than that, similar improvements. We're increasing landscaped areas around the property, reducing the overall impervious coverage, providing dedicated striped parking spaces, pedestrian sidewalks to connect pedestrian paths between the 3 rear buildings, striped crosswalks, parallel parking spaces within the private right-of-way, dimensional markings on the pavement, and as I mentioned, overall improvement to the landscape, reconfiguring the parking spaces, and providing dedicated parking areas. Lastly, back in the rear, there's an existing detention basin, which was constructed for the benefit of the gym across the street. They have an easement for this. It has not been maintained and has been overgrown, so at the request of the assistant town engineer and the town planner, we are proposing to restore that basin back to its existing conditions. So I'd be happy to take any questions regarding what we're proposing to do or what was already completed if you have it.
Okay. I'll offer the members of the select board an opportunity to ask any questions or comments.
Chairman, should we ask Craig to weigh in first?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I apologize. Craig.
Hi, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Great, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nicole, for the presentation. As you all can see by the presentation, you know, this applicant had, you know, initially gone forward with some improvements, thinking that they were doing the right thing, but actually in violation of our permitting process and doing work within our roadway. So after speaking with them, I have to say that They met with us. They've been very forthright in their intentions for this project and have followed our direction to get to this point before your board tonight. I view what they're proposing on Tosca Drive as great improvements to the area. That roadway, as you know, is a sea of asphalt out there. There's not much definition for the parking areas, for the travel ways, nothing much really in the way of landscaping. This project will provide a lot of those improvements and be quite beneficial for the industrial park and the roadway itself. As was mentioned, we'll have some improvements to the stormwater basin, which, hasn't been maintained for many years. And I think one of the greatest improvements would be to take the curse off of that dip in the roadway where it transitions from the public road portion to the private portion. So we are generally very much in favor of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to open it up to members of the Select Board. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Yes, Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you to Nicole Langley. It's nice meeting you. My question is, if you could simplify the intent just a little bit more, and maybe confirm if my understanding is correct. There are some dips in the road, and you're leveling it out.
That is correct.
Thank you very much. Yes. Good job explaining it. Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Gino?
This is to the town engineer. You are in favor of these improvements, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Gito, yes.
And you would recommend that we approve it?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
We provided a memo to the board, should be in your packets, and we do recommend approval.
Okay. Anybody have any questions over on the side? Yeah, Mr. Carrera?
Thank you for the presentation, but I can't see it. And it would have been nice if I had a decent set of plans to follow this, and that means a good-sized sheet.
That was submitted.
Not these submitted things, they're a joke.
You were submitted 24 by 36 plan sets of the entire project.
Well, I only got what I can tell you is in here, and it's not what's out there.
Did you get the plans?
Correct, Gilda. It wasn't submitted to the board administrative assistant to put in their package. Not your fault.
Okay. So they were submitted. There was a full
No,
engineered plan
I'm
set,
just
24 by 6.
generalizing. And then there's stuff in here that says that the applicant contacted the highway department.
Correct.
And they told you to go ahead and go, basically.
Correct.
That's the way I'm reading it.
Correct.
And,
They said they had no issues.
yeah. Well, we're the Street, Water, and Sewer Commissioners. That's why we're here now.
Understood.
At the end of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, answer me this. You guys are on the private end after the big camel hump that's there.
We're on both sides. We have 6 properties.
And I was sitting on conservation and zoning when these buildings were built.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw what they did to get one building in. They put a beam across
Mm-hmm.
to cheat the law. What's going to happen with that roadway? How far is the town going to plow that road? Are they going to stop before the hump, or has there been a deal made that they're going to go further down?
I'm not aware
Because
of
there's
any.
not a circle down there now that's going to accept a turnaround.
Correct.
So
And I'm not
that's-
aware of any deal with changing the plowing limits of the road. We
Because
understand
that's
that
all,
it's
I
private.
know that's all private down there.
Correct. Correct, and it will remain
And
private.
and that's what I'm worried about, because you're taking a roadway that's going in and you're putting parking on the side of it. I have never seen in all my years industrial developments with on-street parking with the amount of truck traffic that's on that road. I mean, it's a nice idea to see all the greenery and stuff like that, but an industrial park's an industrial park.
I understand what you're saying. It's
You know what I
also
mean?
businesses.
And those
If you-
trucks that are going in are 53s. You got dump trailers pounding up and down that road. That's why we just had to improve all that intersection, because of the amount of traffic that's ferrying in and out of there.
There's as you know, there's a gym back there. There are customers that do park along the side of the road, and they park wherever they want. There's no designated parking spaces for these vehicles today. They park on the side of the road, they park on the edge of a property, edge of a driveway. We're giving them dedicated parking spaces that can be used during business hours.
I'm all set for now.
Thank you.
Mr. McCrisky.
Mr. Chairman, on a fluke, I became a little bit involved with this a while back, and I've got to say that, you know, Scott and I disagree once in a while, but I think we think alike. But on this one, he'll probably be mad at me. I support this. I see one person, one group that's come in and bought many buildings and is promoting, you know, improvements of the area. And Scott, I don't know when you go down Tosca Drive, but there's traffic lined up and down that road both sides every day. I will ask you the question, the trucking company that you have there, a moving company, I believe, 2 men in a truck that you lease to. There's also issues with excise tax. Excise tax that when you principally garage a commercial vehicle in a town for more than 6 months, they're supposed to pay the excise tax to the town. That company's not listed on our excise tax revenue sheets. So that's something I would hope that you would look into. Those trucks, you have suitable parking now in the back of the building, or what are you doing with those? Because they park on that road overnight a lot. I'm down that road, my wife works down the other end, and maybe one of your buildings, I don't know. So that's what we want to prohibit too. I like the idea of what you're doing. You're using some of your own property as those parking spaces. You're not using totally on-street parking. You heard earlier, I don't like when we do something that's unprecedented, because it opens up the door for other people to do the same. I personally don't see this as a traffic hindrance. Some of the uses on that street, without a doubt, and I'll stand united with my colleague Scott on some of the uses that shouldn't be going on down there. But I've seen this. I personally agree with the engineering department on this one. I think this is what we should be promoting, is working with developers to make positive improvements that are going to enhance the area. I see the enhancements, and you know, believe me, I'd be the first to say if I had a concern. But I like it. I like the fact that you're using your property to solve the problem, and you're only going to be a little bit on the town property. I know we're not going to be voting tonight, but unless there's something that changes drastically, I'm still in favor of it. And I'd like to, through the town manager, just to send, you know, an attaboy to the engineering department for working with you folks. And I remember the whole reason this started over a water line that broke in one of your buildings, and couldn't find the shutoff. So you find out things, you know, for odd reasons. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. I'll be supporting this, and if we go down the road and we see a problem, you know, we make a phone call and come back and talk about that. You know, but there's no reason for me to say I wouldn't support it because of the fear of the unknown. So, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Vice Chair Roberts.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask my fellow board members, why or do you not want to approve the improvement project plan tonight? Tosca Drive roadway improvement project plan. Mr. Craig endorsed it. It seemed reasonable, logical, the questions that my fellow board members asked, and even one board member, Mr. McCrisky, said down the road he would approve it. So I'm just asking, why aren't we approving it tonight? Just because it's the first time we're hearing the information?
Probably the last time we didn't get something and be able to really discuss it, and a vote was expected, and kind of everybody went nuts, me included. And I know a little bit more about this one, but I think, if anything, Scott's got questions, and he should probably be able to get those questions answered. I said it right up front, I told you folks and my colleagues how I feel about it, but if Scott's got questions, I'm going to stand with him that we give him the opportunity to get those questions answered.
I agree with that. I just wanted to hear the logic, the rationale. And if Mr. Carrara has questions, then I agree we should table it until he gets his questions answered. But I would like to not make an assumption that it's just because this is the first time we're hearing it. It's something that's logical. We need more information. We've got to filter through. We got to go through our process. So thank you very much. I believe Mr. Carrara was going to answer that. Through you, Mr. Chairman, if you would allow Mr. Carrara to answer
Sure, just
that.
before he does, if you don't mind, give me a moment. From my own point of view, I just want to be clear, anything on this agenda at any point can be voted on immediately, or we can wait on it. We have a right, there's no, unless we sort of explicitly say we need this done by the state, we always have, as a board, the right to wait or decide. And so I just wanted to make sure that nobody felt any sort of pressure to vote tonight. If everyone feels confident we can move forward, I'm not going to stop anybody. But also, I agree, if as a courtesy to members of the board, if there's somebody who wants to have further, some more of their questions answered, they want to, be able to get some documentation, I believe they should have a right to that and be able to get that. But I just didn't want anybody to feel like they have to make a decision tonight. But if everyone is on board, then there's no reason to wait. But Mr. Carrera.
It's always great to be able to speak for yourself. I do this for a living. I know how to read plans. I served on Concom for 6 years. This was a hot basket of mess down there. The back of that roadway, there was chunks broken off. There was constant problems with it washing in. Plus, you're not supposed to throw the snow over into that wetland. There was a side writing on that. And I've been down there, and there's been snow over there. You could walk out on it. So these are the questions I have, because I'd like to look at the whole plan. I can't, these mean nothing to me.
Again, Mr. Chair, would it make sense for me to resubmit the full plan set that was originally submitted?
No, you don't have to. If you submitted something, then it's got to come from my engineering department to make sure that I understand what's going on. I don't want to sit here and look like an idiot because this is the first time I've seen this. And we're going to pass something for you that I might find something wrong with it and say, hey, you should look at this. I don't say I'm right all the time. People help me with my plans. They pick out different things, and I find mistakes that are made by engineers.
Everybody does, right?
Everybody does, right?
Correct.
Some things can't be done because a plan looks good when you draw it in the office, and then you get out to the site and it says, geez, we missed this by 30 feet. What do we do now?
Yeah. If I may, these plans have been thoroughly reviewed again by the engineering department, approved by the planning board for site plan approval, and the Conservation Commission with respect to Building 1. They've been thoroughly vetted. So I agree with you 100%.
None of that information is in here,
I
except
know,
that it
and my
says
apologies
everything was
that-
done. That's all I'm telling you. If this board wants to vote it tonight, I have no problem with it. You
And I
wanna- you
understand
wanna
that.
call
I
for
don't
vote?
know what happened
Deborah, you wanna
between
make
what
a
we
motion?
dropped off
Make
and
it.
what got into your
It'll save
packet.
everybody the heartache.
No, I think, Scotty, Mr. Chairman, through you,
Yes.
I think I,
told by somebody who didn't, I didn't get the stuff from you. If you want to vote.
no, I
If you
think I
want to
did-
vote it tonight, vote it.
Scott, I think I-
Everybody's happy, so let's all be happy.
I think I can be helpful here, if I may. Scott, your points are well taken. All I want to say is the applicant is not responsible for this confusion. It should not be, but you're not saying it, Scott. She's being subjected to,
I would have liked to have had a decent set of plans.
she can't explain a mishap of the town. Our department, when we get financials from Biz, we don't ask for the balance sheet in support of the financials. We accept the financials on their face. I think the misunderstanding is many of the board members accept on its face the work of the professional staff. You're in the business. You have questions. They should give you the courtesy of calling you and saying, we're bringing this before the board. So if anybody owns this today, I do. They should give you the courtesy of saying, we'd like to make an appointment with you before Monday to go through these plans and answer any questions and concerns you have. All I want to do is stop this right now. It's not fair to these professionals that they're being held accountable for our mishap. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I
Scott,
think
I
that's
think you're
fair.
right. You're due a courtesy that we should be able to give you.
Yeah, unless there's any objection, I just plan to have this on our next meeting, and we'll vote it. We'll have it on the front end of the meeting, so we'll get that through. I do have a couple of questions, and maybe they're more statements. But there's one thing I'd like to understand. I know that you were hired after a lot of the work had already been done, if I'm understanding correctly. Is that correct?
Correct, after the first three, correct.
Yeah, so there's I'm going to take a detour, and I apologize.
No worries.
But in moral philosophy, there's this concept of a categorical imperative. Of when you just decide something's right or wrong, you ask yourself, what if everybody did it all the time, every time, right?
100%, yeah.
So should we lie? What if everybody always lied all the time? Okay, yeah, it's not good. There was, from what I can tell, like this, and I mean this with no animus at all, but it seemed very sloppy, right? There's a verbal agreement with the wrong authorities to do work, and they kind of already got started, and they would have kept on going except they got a violation, right? So at that point, it sounds like there were a lot of very good decisions being made. They hired professionals to represent them, and you made the right decisions to work closely with the town. At that point, I think very good things happened, and I think I applaud all the people who have collaborated to do this work. Is there any? Can you help me understand, like, how did this fall apart so much so early in the process?
How you doing? My name is Dennis Kenny. I work for Berkeley Partners. I represent the owners of the properties on Tosca Drive. We also own another facility on Campanelli Drive. We're very well invested as commercial real estate owners in the town of Stoughton. To give you the history, I was the one that actually spoke with the highway department. So we, as a commercial industrial group, we have properties throughout the state of Massachusetts and throughout the U.S. And many of those municipalities, when we come in, try and do some minor site work, which what we were attempting to do here at Tosca, because when we first took ownership of the buildings, one of the problems with the parking that the tenants had, they said people were parking along the streetway, blocking access to their buildings. So I reached out to, as I've done in many towns, where I've talked to the highway department, who's typically responsible for right-of-ways, roadways, where I could do paving. So I had reached out to them and said, hey, we're looking to potentially add some on-street parking on our private property. Would we be okay to pave inward on our private land without issue? And they said, on your land at your cost, no problem. So I had reached out to our local contractor to make sure that they knew all the processes and procedures to do that work here in Stoughton. They assured me that we were good to go, so we did some small paving along the front of buildings 3, 4, and 5. And again, that was just to bring that street parking onto our land and kind of out of the roadway to make it safer and add walkways. So that was our intention. Then we were sent the notice, I think, later that fall from the town engineering department, at which point I actually came in person and sat down with Craig and the team and was quickly educated as to why we did, what we did was wrong and how we could correct it. So once that was identified, we started our immediate process of vetting an engineering firm that would be able to work with us, review what we had done, see what was in violation and how we could get that processed, and then also work towards making improvements towards the end of the roadway, which is, for all of you that know Stoughton, is treacherous down there, not only just from the Riley trucks that drive through, but just from years of abandonment and we're here to be here long-term, and we're looking to make improvements to the roadway, improve it for the town, improve it for our tenants. So that's kind of the story, how it developed. It certainly wasn't intentional. We're partners to towns that we come into, and most of our team is local.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate your honesty with that. And, I work as a tax accountant. And so for me, any mistake is just a bunch of paperwork, and sometimes you've got to file some extra paperwork. And so, but I make mistakes all the time. Everybody makes mistakes. The question is, what's the remedy? And so, I do have to say that I, really appreciate not only your honesty, but also your willingness to just figure out the remedy, figure out, what do we have to do, how do we do it right, and for that, I'm grateful, and we'll move through this. This will be on the next agenda for the select board, which will probably be the first week of August. I can understand if perhaps that sets a timeline back, and I certainly apologize for that. However, we need to just ensure that we are able to process this information and make an informed decision. Is there any other comments or questions that anybody would like to make?
Yeah, I have just one comment.
Yes.
This area has been a problem for years and years, no question about that. And the questions that I asked of Craig were, is this an improvement? Is this something that you'd recommend? Well, we're not going to fix all the old problems. But at the same time, Mr. Carrara had some questions. I don't know whether or not, if he looks at some plans, he may find some of the things that he was talking about are things that you can do, and they wouldn't be a big problem. Perhaps we should wait a couple weeks and move on. And decide this at our next meeting. And if the town manager is saying, if I'm not mistaken, I thought I heard you say that you could put this off for a week or two. If I have misinterpreted what you said, then please correct me.
No, Mr. Joe, I think you're interpreting it perfectly, if I may, Mr. Chairman. I think we as an organization have to make some decisions on how we're going to do business. We purposely left off of this, votes may be taken. Purposely. So votes were not expected to be taken tonight. This was an informational presentation where the result could have been easily, we'd like to come in and see the plans. And 2 weeks from now, we'll be absolutely ready. I live in a town right now that is viewed as toxic to any developers. And that's why I'm very concerned about how we treat architects and developers. There was never an expectation on this agenda that a vote would be taken. Purely informational, ask questions, come back in 2 weeks, answer those questions. Have Craig and Mark come before us and answer questions. It doesn't have to be intense. We just ask the questions. This is a success story. I know you are. From something that went from bad corporate responsibility to something that ends up good. And they want to continue to improve the good. Nobody was being asked tonight to cast a vote. Thank you, Mr. Gito.
Excellent. So yeah, this will be on the next agenda. If you have any other comments, we're all ears.
We thank you for your time and your comments. And I'm going to leave it here, and you're going to find the plans.
We'll move forward. We will have it on the next agenda, and my hope is that we're able to vote then. Once again, as I mentioned before, we vote. Unfortunately, we're going to vote when we're ready. I know that sometimes that is not going to fit some other people's timelines, but I suspect by the time we get there, we'll have all of our questions answered, and we'll do our work to ensure that. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is to discuss Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 34, violations. This is KN LLC, doing business as, and I always think I might always mispronounce this, but I'm going to say Andrade Liquors, 280 Washington Street. And we have online Stephen Chaplin, I believe.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Thank you for allowing me to join remotely.
It's great seeing you, as always.
Likewise.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I think I hear someone speaking. I just want to make sure that I have Arthur Perlman. I think I'm able to hear your mic. Okay,
You want me to shut it off?
no, it's okay. Just I just want to let you know that we were able to hear on your side. So, Mr. Chaplin, if you don't mind walking us through the timeline and the details of this case, and then also what the expectations of the select board are, what the deliverable is from us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is one of those situations in the law where we have different bodies wearing multiple hats. So the select board is both the local licensing authority that issues liquor licenses, package store licenses, all alcohol licenses, one-day liquor licenses, and also enforces, in certain instances, the state law, in certain instances, its own local regulations. The Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission also wears multiple hats. So sometimes the select board as local licensing authority will render a particular decision, and that might get appealed to the ABCC. But the ABCC also independently investigates potential violations of state law and state regulation. So in this particular case, we had the ABCC investigate this particular package store, and they found that 2 different violations occurred on 2 different dates. Specifically in February of last year, they found what's termed as an unlawful purchase. And what that essentially means is that you don't get to, as a package store, you don't get to buy in bulk for multiple package stores. And what this essentially comes down to is a wholesaler of alcoholic beverages has to be a licensed wholesaler, and you can't get around that. And in the local Stoughton regulations, there's a similar provision. So the ABCC found that last February there was a violation by this particular licensee, and then independent of that, the ABCC found that in April of last year there was a violation by this package store for selling to someone underage. And the ABCC went through a process, issued discipline, and those reached a resolution, and the manager's office was notified of that, which is what happens in the ordinary course of business. So as a technical matter, those violations of state law are also violations of the local regulations, and the select board technically would have jurisdiction to impose additional discipline. What I understand has historically been done in Stoughton, and what is done in many other communities, is the board will take notice of these violations and will notify the owner in writing, or the licensee, I should say, in writing, that subsequent violations may, in the board's discretion, be treated not as a first offense, but rather as a second, or in this case, since there's already been 2 offenses, as a potentially a 3rd offense. And I will highlight for the board that there are some potential consequences there in this particular case, because the day before this hearing notice went out, the Stoughton Police Department was conducting an investigation, and some days after this notice went out, the Stoughton Police Department cited a violation for selling to someone underage, and that is a matter that is going to be coming before this board, I would imagine, in the relatively near future. So, Mr. Chair, to conclude and to answer your question directly, the deliverable tonight is whether the board will elect to impose additional discipline beyond that which the ABCC imposed for the 2 violations occurring in 2024, or if the board may, in keeping with what I understand is past practice, elect to notify the licensee that it reserves the right to treat subsequent violations as a multiple violation rather than a first, which would of course mean that the board reserves the right to impose more significant discipline or harsher sanctions for a 2nd or 3rd violation as opposed to a first violation.
Thank you. Before I hand it over to other members of the board to ask any questions, I did have just one brief question. I want to make sure I understand this timeline. And I've followed through the documents, but there's one in particular I just want to make sure I understand. I apologize, I won't have a page number, but this is a letter from the ABCC. And it's a notice of accepted offer in compromise, February 27th, 2025, in which they write, "This is to advise you that the ABCC has accepted your offer in compromise in lieu of suspension in the amount of $509. You're advised that the notice of suspension for a period of 1 day is reconsidered and compromised by this fine." That original suspension was a decision of the ABCC, something the select board, tell me, this is my question. Is it correct that the suspension was originally determined by the ABCC and supported by the select board, but then the ABCC essentially changed their mind through this compromise?
That is correct. There is a provision in the law that permits the ABCC to accept a monetary payment in lieu of the suspension that's issued, and that correspondence memorializes that type of acceptance by the ABCC. So instead of that particular suspension being served, the ABCC accepted the monetary payment that's noted in the correspondence.
Thank you. That was one minor thing. I just wanted to see if I can understand better. Do any members of the select board have questions? Mr. McCrisky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe there is another violation, am I reading this right, in this additional report? So it's a 3rd violation now? So after these 2 that we're talking about, we had another one take place? That very much concerns me, is that 2 violations have taken back that were identified by the ABCC, and I have in my hand a police report from the Town of Stoughton Police Department with another violation. I think we need to do some serious talking about this, because I could see a mistake. I could see maybe another mistake, but a 3rd mistake. And the ABCC doesn't supersede our issuing authority. They're not going to issue a license. We issue licenses. And it's up to us to protect the youth of this town from obtaining, and anybody that shouldn't be obtaining alcohol for that case, the opportunity to have it. And this is a serious responsibility of the people that take on these licenses. And we've got 3 violations now. I'm concerned with this, very concerned with this. And I would like to talk about what we do, what our options are, because I can't remember the last time I've seen 3 violations in such a short amount of time for any license holder in this town. I remember two with about a year apart, but never have I seen in all my years, and I've been here a long time, that I've ever seen three in such a short amount of time. So this isn't a public hearing tonight, but I believe we should be looking at a public hearing and have the license holder in and give them the opportunity to be heard. I have every intention of being able to make a very level-headed decision. I'm waiting to hear how these happened, but we owe it to the people that we represent and issue license on behalf of to know what's going on here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Nope.
No
Okay.
questions, just a comment. I agree
Yes,
with Mr. McCrisky. I think that we should hold a hearing on this most recent event, and at that time, look at all of the information before us. I'm concerned that if this business has, in the past 2 years, had 2 violations of selling to minors, that, to me, is a serious concern. People get killed from drinking and driving, and a person has the privilege of being able to sell liquor. It's not just a regular thing that goes on, and people are expected to follow the rules. And I guess from my position, I think that we need to make sure that people take that seriously.
Sure. Mr. Carrera.
Through you to Mr. Chaplin from the Town Council. Does this put all 3 violations on the table at the hearing, or just the newest one? Because the ABCC kicked it out of the compromise zone and back, does that come back to us?
It does not. So the compromise that the ABCC accepted is relative to the ABCC level of disciplinary proceedings. The select board disciplinary proceedings run on a parallel track. They're not necessarily related. What we have before the board tonight is the board has been advised of the facts that constituted the February 2024 violation and the additional procedural fact that the ABCC found that to be a violation of state law. Similarly, the select board has been advised of the April 2024, the facts underlying the April 2024 violation and the additional procedural fact that the ABCC found that to be a violation of state law. So the question before the board tonight is, what, if anything, will the board do additionally under the local regulations on account of the February 2024 and the April 2024 violations? There will be a separate question that will have to be the subject of a separate hearing relative to what discipline the board may impose regarding the June 2025 violation, which we've just learned about.
Thank you. As I was wondering if we run them concurrent or separate. Thank you.
Yeah,
They're separate.
This might be a simple example, and I apologize for this question ahead of time. But so this would be just for anybody for whom this might be helpful, including me, in other areas of law where a crime is committed that's both a state law against a state law and also against a federal law. That that case can be heard in both federal and state systems and can be punished both federally and at the state level. So that's sort of what we're dealing with here. There's a violation that is both a state violation and also violation within our jurisdiction. And so both jurisdictions are able to hear it and make some judgment as to how they're going to address it. Is that more or less what's going on?
I would consider that to be an apt analogy.
Excellent. Okay, so in that case, I mean, it sounds like the will is to have a hearing, though we'll make this a vote of the board if there is a motion to do so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. McCrisky.
Make a motion that the board, through the chair, schedule a liquor hearing, a violation hearing on the most recent violation. I don't think we have to have a public hearing on the other one because it's been vetted by the ABCC, but we can enact a similar penalty if we choose. That I don't believe, council can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe we need a public hearing for that one because it has already been levied by the ABCC. So if we choose to take an additional action in addition to the ABCC, we can do that without a public hearing, but the one that we've been provided for by the police department does require the public hearing. And that's what I would like to have on the first available agenda.
Second.
Before the vote, Mr. Chaplain, does that square with your understanding of the law, or is there something we may want to amend in that motion?
The only addition I might suggest, if this is what the board wishes to do, is that when that public hearing is noticed relative to the June 2025 alleged violation, that the notice include, again, if the board is so inclined, this is completely up to the board, that notice may include a statement that in light of the notices received from the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission, that the board reserves the right to treat this alleged violation as a either second or a third violation on account of what happened last year.
Mr. Chairman, that's, I'll amend my motion to include that verbiage.
Excellent. And so that was seconded by Mr. Carrera. You accept that amendment, Mr. Carrera?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion was made by Mr. McCrisky, seconded by Mr. Carrera. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Questions?
Yes.
There was not an opportunity to ask questions about the process. And the process is how much time will elapse before we can take action? So the public hearing information has to be advertised, right?
Yes.
So then we have to look at the calendar for wherever we're going to advertise, Suburban Shopper, let's say. So we're really talking about a month from now? Because I believe everyone is due a due process to completely understand what we're going to do and what is the timeline for our action items. So can someone describe the timeline?
The soonest you could do it with all of the notice that's required is not the next meeting, but the meeting after that. It would be the first meeting in August.
First meeting in August.
Gilda, am I correct on that? Second meeting in August? Second week in August or second meeting? Please use your microphone.
She doesn't have one.
So wouldn't it be a month from today? Yes.
August 19th.
August 19th.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Thanks, Gilda.
And I'm in agreement, so I vote yes.
Thank you. Sounds like we're August 19th.
Steve, perhaps you could ask counsel if he's available that night.
I actually plan to be with your board that evening on another matter.
Perfect.
Double
Could I,
duty.
could I check my calendar for a moment? Because I'm probably going to be at that one as well.
Sorry, what was your question, sir?
Can I take 1 second to check my calendar too, as I'm going to be at that hearing as well?
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Who is he? Is he the owner? I don't know. Who's that other gentleman?
Are you sure? He's the lawyer.
He's their attorney. Yeah.
He's the owner.
Okay. He's the
Thank you.
owner's attorney? Okay. Okay, thanks.
The 19th, yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Wait, before you leave,
Yes, sir.
there was a matter before the board tonight based upon your notice that the board was going to consider what went on with the ABC and whether your board was going to take any additional action on those two cases. The other case hasn't come up yet and won't until you have your hearing. But you have two cases that were heard by the ABC, and you're considering, I believe, which I would object to some further punishment from the town. Am I correct or am I incorrect?
Mr. Chair, may I answer that?
Yeah, Mr. Chaplin, please.
So the vote of the board was to advise, in lieu of instituting additional discipline, to advise the licensee that those violations noticed by the ABCC were also violations of the local regulations, and accordingly, the board reserves the right at the hearing relative to the June 2025 alleged violation. The board reserves the right to treat that as a second or third violation as opposed to a first violation.
Okay, and in order to be clear, then you're saying there's no further punishment on those other than the board is going to take notice that they exist, but there's no further punishment on those.
Correct. The board is taking notice that they exist and reserves the right to treat the violation for this year as a second or a third as opposed to a first.
But no further punishment on those first two.
No further sanctions on those violations from last year.
Okay, I just want to make sure of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll be moving on to the next order of business. Thank you, Mr. Chaplin. Thank you, Mr. Perlman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next item, town vehicle use policy. This is proposed amendments to be voted. So, Mr. Coulter.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, through you to the members, Lou and I had a great discussion on this today. So I want to comment on both the substance and on the process, if I may. Please note, there are no votes expected this evening. This document was circulated 3 weeks ago to give everybody plenty of time. Tonight, the opportunity is to present and vote on any amendments any of the members wish to incorporate into this bill. And then in 2 weeks, the amended I'm sorry, that's my legislative background. The amended policy, should it be amended this evening, will be brought forth back to you for a final vote. So let me tell you the origin of this policy. We've had a bad few years of vehicle accidents. And so having met with the senior management of Maya to address it, we're putting in several elements to our program involving retraining, involving recertification, involving retesting. And they've also asked that a policy be put in place that was drafted by their legal counsel and the head of their risk management department that we, through the board, could adopt and implement townwide. Police, fire, DPW being the most common amount of incidents that are occurring, but implemented townwide. Now, this policy was evaluated by Myers risk management attorneys as a policy that would curb the current trend in accidents with almost all municipalities. So it's not just a Stoughton. It doesn't include things that Lou and I discussed today that need to be in a policy, like who gets a town vehicle who gets the vehicle to drive home? I can tell you when I got here, it was amazing. And now we're about 30% down in terms of vehicles that have gone home. But there are still other vehicles that are going home, which increases the risk and the probability of accidents just in commute to and from. What Lou and I spoke about today, I'm recommending that we adopt the Maya policy because there are insurance. It's not a condition of additional coverage, but it's certainly strongly recommended. And that Lou and I work together on other issues like who gets a vehicle and why. What gets parked in the shop at night? How much do they contribute to an accident that they're involved in where they're at fault? Nobody should get off scot-free when they're at fault. And so there are a lot of other issues that need to be incorporated into a policy that Lou and I could work together on. This is one that is proposed by the Meyer Council, and that it be implemented with anybody that either uses a town vehicle or their own vehicle reimbursed by the town, because we have the liability when they do that as well. So again, back to the process. The way we posted it is there are no votes to be taken on the policy this evening. If there are members that wish to amend it, and you're free to do so, Maya's not objecting to that. If there are amendments that you want to propose and that the board passes, we'll write those amendments up for you and then bring them back to you before the next meeting so Gilda and I can confirm that it's what you intended, and then you can vote at some future date where we will advertise votes may be taken. Tonight, votes other than amendments are not expected to be considered. So in conclusion, Mr. Chairman, I'm hoping that the board will support Maya's recommendations and that I can report back to them that we're now in the implementation stage, and that Lou and I will work on other issues of great concern regarding use of town vehicles. Thank you,
Any
Mr.
questions
Chairman.
or comments? Mr. Murkowski, any? Mr. Carrera?
So let me get this straight. Is this stuff here, are we going over this? Or
Item number 6, town vehicle policy as proposed by Maya, and then we will expand it further in the future to include other vehicle issues.
Yeah, so the only thing we're addressing right now is the Maya policy,
The Maya policy, correct.
which is item number 6.
It's what we sent over repatched.
So it's this one here. It didn't say Maya, so I...
No, it's no problem, it's no problem. Fair enough. So any further questions? Ms. Roberts?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So through you to Mr. Coulter, Maya is our insurance risk manager. So this is a boilerplate or standardized policy that they're using, and they're recommending to use this as our policy, right?
Madam, Meyer is our insurance company.
Yes.
They have a risk management division that provides free consulting services. They do it with us on safety as well.
Okay.
Free consulting services to the insured with the objective of reducing claims.
Okay. So I do not have an amendment to the policy, but I have a question just for looking down the road, and it's on page, I think it's page 1 of 16 that talks about stipends, vehicle stipends. And the page prior to that, page 2 of 16. So it said, and this is what's prompted me to ask for more probing, to ask more probing questions. It says, it's under vehicle uses, municipal vehicles, it's like the last sentence. Municipal vehicles should be reviewed as belonging to the citizens and/or assigned solely for purposes consistent with providing services to the citizens. Okay, that's one I would like for you to clarify. The second is the difference between reimbursement and a stipend. So reimbursement is if, for mileage, let's say, and they follow the IRS mileage recommendations. And then there's other language in the document that says stipend that at a certain point in time could be considered by the board. And I'm looking for that page, that if you could just.
So may I answer the first question
Yeah,
first?
please.
So Meyer is not weighing in on whether the board policy should allow for stipends or not.
Okay.
What they're saying is that if you receive a stipend, it's taxable.
Okay.
That's all.
That's all, that's it.
That it's taxable income.
Because it's income. Okay,
So a
got it.
reimbursement
is not.
would be for mileage,
Okay.
and that's also taxable. So they're not making any judgments on what this body may or may not do with respect to a policy as to who or how much or anything like that. That's a commercial issue. But what they're saying is they don't want liability against the town where we're sued by the IRS because we don't properly tax income. I have a car allowance. That's ordinary income to me. And I get a W-2 as income from the town. So all Meyer's concerned is not creating a liability because we're not taxing stipends properly. Again, they're concerned with that we could make the worst business decisions in the world that make no sense from an economic standpoint. They're not weighing in on that. What they're weighing in on is whatever you do, you need to do right so that so we minimize risk.
Thank you very
Was there
much.
a
That was
second question?
very clear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, in essence, these policies, in a sense, sort of benefit Maya, and they also benefit us, but their purpose of recommending these is that it reduces risk and liability, which is their business.
That's the whole intent.
Yeah. Mr. Gino, do you have any questions or comments?
Just one, and perhaps this would be covered on something in the future, but I would hope that it would be able to be recovered or covered earlier, and that is on page 4, employee driving records. Employees in the course of their employment on a regular basis may be subject to driving record checks through the Registry of Motor Vehicles, and the Human Resource Department is supposed to do that checking. Through you to the town manager, I'm wondering if that might not be a responsibility of the employee to report whether or not they are able to drive, either because of medical conditions or because of other administrative things like driving violations. So if that could be looked at, maybe that could be changed.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. Self-reporting if you've been advised that you should not be driving a vehicle. I think that's a great point. We'll incorporate. We can add to this. They would be suspect if we reduced it, but we can certainly add to it.
Okay. If there's no further questions, what I would ask is that members of the, do you have anything else you'd like to ask? Sorry, something by the way.
I'm waiting that we're going to go through it because I have.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
If it's my turn now, I get a few things.
Absolutely, sir.
So
All
just for the board's information, and listen, we're all committed to transparency, so hanging our dirty laundry shouldn't be a problem, right? This very same day we received this policy, the chief of police, in her own wisdom, did a spot check on every single driver's license using this back page as a guide, and found out there was a patrolman out there who was driving a police vehicle for the past 6 months with a suspended driver's license. And he was terminated that day. But because we followed this policy. the day it arrived. Just a coincidence.
Mr. Carrera, you have the floor.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Page 3. Where it says vehicle stipend, it is the policy of the town of Stoughton that in event that an employee is required to use his or her personal vehicle on a year-round basis. I'm wondering that we can avoid a lot of liability here, and it'd be far cheaper and self-serving the town more if you just rented a vehicle for the person. And then if the term, say they needed it for 4 months or something, if you rented it for a year or whatever, it can be passed to somebody else. But there'd be no liability upon the person because that car is insured to them. So if they're on a town thing, it can get this big when an accident occurs with your own personal vehicle. So I think it'd be something that you could look at, because you're the town manager, and say, hey, it's smarter that Steve gets a rental vehicle instead of using his own. It stays at home, you're covered by town, you don't have to worry about your car, what happens to it or something, because you had to go pick something up or whatever. I just thought that was a spot that could be
Sure.
safer.
Yep. Again, I think there's lots of things we need to change about whether people use their personal vehicles or whether they use a town-issued vehicles. If they're on town business, there's a provision in here as to how much insurance they must carry, and a provision in here about liability. So,
That's why I was looking at it's, because are they going to get reimbursed for that? But if it's rented, like some towns rent their dump trucks too.
yeah, you mean lease or rent?
Lease.
Yeah,
That's
lease,
what I meant.
right. I agree.
And it's all covered and it's
Yep.
done.
Yep, I'm with you on this.
And then,
The only reason I'm not taking notes, I'm gonna do it off the recording.
No,
I
that's
really want to
okay.
hear it instead of taking notes.
And then on page 5, it says, assignment of municipal vehicles. Employees are required to have a valid motor license, class of vehicle to be operated and stuff. It should say that if the vehicles are going home, they should be in a safe area of garagement and no on-street parking.
It does say that in another section.
I saw that, but
Yeah.
I didn't know if it...
They're required to provide safe housing for the town vehicle, particularly those that have tools on them. I could look up that section, Scott, but I'm pretty sure, I know it's in there.
I did see it in another spot. And then on page 6, it says rules and responsibilities, and it says employees who drive municipal or personal vehicles are responsible but not limited to the following. And it says municipal vehicles may only be used for legitimate municipal business. Individuals assigned a municipal vehicle with commuting privileges may incidental personal uses. I think that stopping on the way home to do your shopping, stopping on the way home to do your banking, just increases the chance of something to go wrong. You're going to stop, you're going to pick up little Judy, Judy's going to be in the car, you're going to get broadsided, because we had somebody get broadsided who worked for the town, went out to a golf game, said he was on a seminar, and the thing got broadsided. And there was a passenger in the vehicle that shouldn't have been there. So it got intense. So I know all the department heads in here, and everybody has direct deposit. So if you're going to do your banking, you're not doing it on the way home. You're going to do it Saturday or whatever. So I think that incidental use, I don't think you need to be in a shopping plaza and back into somebody or back, you know what I mean? That's a little broad. If you're given a town vehicle that belongs to the town and you got that gift, A to B, no C, and I got to take this, because then it starts to be, it broadens. And then stuff happens.
So on that one, Scott, I happen to personally agree with you on that. I asked Meyer about it. I said, why are we encouraging off-road activity? And they said it gets to the point of being unreasonable. It's customary that they stop at the drugstore on the way home to pick up medicine for their wife, as opposed to going home and coming back out. It's completely the will of the board. We can make this stricter. They don't want us to make it less strict. So they would have no problem with your amendment if that's what you want to do. I have no problem
I mean,
striking it.
there is just so much activity out there. Joe knows on the road, he sees it all the time.
So I guess all I'd ask for is look for a consent agenda if that's the will of the board. I'm happy to strike it and bring you back the revised copy. Mr. Chairman, I don't think it requires a formal roll call, but if there's general consent, we can move forward and I'll strike it.
I mean, if you need me to write this
We'll
down on
modify it.
separate paper, and I just,
This would be just taking out on this one, it's just taking out the privilege. It's saying go straight home.
here's my favorite one.
Okay.
On page 8, there's a lot of dots, and it says what's allowed in the vehicle, who's allowed in the vehicle. Doesn't really give a section, it's just a bunch of rules, right?
What they can and cannot do.
Also, I think we should add in that the vehicles belong to the town, that no town vehicle should be altered or have devices drilled into them that are not part of the town's quote in the requirements that vehicle was purchased for. Like, there was a truck where somebody had about, I don't know how many thousand strobe lights put in it, and it rots the vehicle out because they just take it to a place and the guy goes, sure, I'll give you the lights, and drills 1,000 holes in it. That thing's plowing snow, and it got all in the truck and it rotted out. So I don't think anybody should be altering anything,
Okay.
darkening windows or anything like that. They come special ordered, and that's the way they should be treated.
Got it.
And
Right, manufacturer's specifications. He's saying the same thing as you are.
you know, I'll take whatever you.
The old water truck you're talking about, 2,400 lights all over it?
Mhm. On page 10, it says, special circumstances where exemptions from certain provisions of this policy may be authorized by the town manager. I'd like to add in that these exemptions come to the board for review and approval too.
Okay.
And that on the page 12, it has a copy of the exemption form, Tom. And at the bottom, it says, department head, human resource, town manager I think we should put a line in there, and it should say Board of Selectmen accepted it, where this is basically our policy.
Got it.
I don't think we'll be here every day checking off any boxes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Scott.
So we'll bring this up before the board at our next meeting. Oh, I apologize. Did I not go to you? Sorry, Mr. McCrisky.
No, I would like to offer an amendment that each municipal vehicle be marked and lettered Town of Stoughton or DPW, whatever the department is, to be visible within 50 feet so that we don't have people going into barrooms, using it for things they shouldn't be. And God forbid somebody sees something that's unsafe, they know who owns the truck and they could make a phone call. So we've had 2 times that we've made policies. In that policy, the amendment I would add would exclude public safety vehicles, other than what the fire department does now, but the fire chief, police chief, we have undercover, cruisers, things like that. But, so that's where public safety wouldn't be included, but if it's the DPW, it should be lettered on the side of the door, Stoughton DPW. They use small stickers right now that they're putting on the top of the fender that are about this big, but another motorist or resident that sees something unsafe is not going to know who that vehicle belongs to. So we've shied away in recent years from doing that, and if you do look after it's been brought to your attention, you'll notice that some of our trucks say right on the side of it, Stoughton DPW, pickup trucks and so forth. Supervisors' vehicles, I mean, I think that's should still say Stoughton DPW on it. So it's, whatever way they decide to do it, but just make it visible. And this mirrors a federal and state law that it mentions for a distance of 50 feet. So it's consistent with that. What is the proper visibility? There's other things that can be brought up on the type of contrast from the background of the vehicle, so you don't put a black letter on a black truck, that kind of stuff. But I think the wording that says visible from a distance of 50 feet covers everything.
Mr. Chairman? Joe, would you accept an alternative to that? I think the policy is a good one that you're proposing. I really do. I'm not sure it's suitable for a risk management document. We are going to make additional policies that have to do with physical care, maintenance, repair, reporting. We can also standardize how they're identified. I think that would be a more appropriate document.
If you got something else planned, yeah, this is the only one that I thought it can be done in many different ways.
So it's a document regarding the identification through letter.
Right, you can do something different. When we get to that point, I have a whole bunch of suggestions for you.
Okay.
Because
that's my whole point. So it's
right.
not a simple amendment. It's a policy in and of itself.
Well, that's okay. I mean, if you want that separately, again, we're shooting for the same end goal, and that's what's important. But when we're ready for safety policies and defensive driving, that's where we have a whole area that I'll bore the hell out of you with that stuff, because that's where I geek out.
Yep, I hear you. So. And that's why I believe it deserves its own policy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, no, I'll hold off then. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. So just in order to accommodate the board, also make this work maybe a little bit cleaner for the town manager's office, and also to make sure that we sort of are putting the pebbles in the right buckets and we're doing things appropriately. What I'm going to ask is that anybody who wants any amendments made to send them to the town manager's office in writing. If you don't get a chance to, we'll still address them when we get here. But it would just maybe be a little bit easier to deal with them if we have them in writing. The main thing I would ask the town manager to do is to categorize them, because people might have ideas that start to riff a little bit, move a little bit away from the original intent. That they're still valuable, still necessary, and we still may want to address them. Precisely, and to categorize them as amendments to this document versus things that would fit well within a separate document. So anything that is changed within this document would be an amendment. Anything that really adds to it may be appropriate. It also might make sense to put it in a separate document. And my ask is that the town manager sort of make that judgment call. So that we're going to be voting ultimately on the things that are actual amendments to this document, but we don't lose track of these other helpful ideas. I don't, even though this is my request, I won't do it unless the board agrees that that's a good approach. So I'm willing to accept that, any sort of criticism here, if anybody has any idea that that's not appropriate, I'll definitely listen to that now. We can change tact. But that's kind of how I think it would work best to approach it. Any concerns? Okay, seeing none, that's how we'll move forward. And if you're, as I said, step one, if you're able to, send any amendments to the town manager's office. If you're not able to, we'll address it when we get to the meeting. And then, Mr. Coulter, if you don't mind, just filtering these so that we put everything in the right place.
I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, I'll be meeting with Scott for coffee. He's not typing me anything.
Mr. Chairman? So I don't want to, I'm not sure if I'm misunderstanding it, but we're done with the conversation here tonight.
Correct.
It's going to be follow-up. Okay, so next time we see this, we're voting on it.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the goal.
I just want to be sure.
I'm so sorry.
I just want to be sure
Yeah.
that we're not going to get into a whole other area of bringing up questions again. We've talked about this, what's this, the third time it's been before us?
Like several other policies.
Right.
If, when you see it, whatever amendments people want in this document, you will see in red in this document. And then you can vote on the amendments and then vote the final document.
Yeah, and depending on the number, we may vote them individually. Essentially, if somebody wants to make a motion to approve all of them and that passes, that passes. That's the will of the board. But if we can move through them one by one to make sure that everybody gets a sort of fair hearing about amendments that they believe are appropriate for it, I think that would be great.
And I honestly believe the input is what makes for a more perfect document.
Yeah.
Maya didn't, I hope they're not listening, Maya didn't corner the market on good ideas.
Final item before we get to the consent agenda is policy for consideration of Veterans Memorial Square dedication. And it's proposed amendments to be voted, final version to be on August 5th, 2025 consent agenda. So once again, these are any comments, any amendments people want to make. If people are comfortable with it, we'll make a similar process that we can go through the amendments now, we can discuss it now. But amendments that you want to apply to the document, just ask that you provide them in writing if you're able to. And then we'll have them available for people to see what it would look like inside the document. But are there any comments or questions? Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I do have an amendment, and that's in the third section, Veterans Memorial Square Approval and Placement. It is the second paragraph. It looks as if it starts with the bullet point that says, exception of active duty service men and women, da-da-da-da-da. It looks like the sentence prior to that was eliminated, omitted. I would like to, I guess with the support of my co-partner on this, which is Mr. McCrisky, or with Ms. Sharon Johnson, it says on the original version, all Veterans Memorial Squares will have a color blue background, and it goes on to say blue is not the Stoughton color, with the exception of all active duty service men and women.
Deborah, I'm
That's
sorry,
gonna
I'm
be-
not sure where you are. Could you tell me?
Yes, on.
And in the future, these pages will all be paginated.
Okay, so at the very top, it says policy for consideration
Okay.
for Veterans Memorial Square. The next section says description. The next section says eligibility. The next is Veterans Memorial Square approvals and placements.
Got it.
Okay, first paragraph starts with once the application. The second bullet point says exception of active duty. So it's there without the previous sentence.
Yeah, it starts mid-sentence.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that either something got edited out
Yes.
unintentionally or it got covered up or. Okay.
Can you give us that language, Sharon? Tomorrow? That'd be good.
So it reads, all Veterans Memorial Squares will have a color of blue background. My amendment, and I would like Mr. McCrisky's weigh-in because we worked on this together, to say that, because we don't really care about the color, it's that we all agree that it would have the indication of what branch of service they served under, Army, National Guard, what have you. So I would like, that is my amendment, to say that it would have an indication of the branch of service, and then it would go on to say, with the exception of active duty servicemen and women that were killed in action, which will have a black background. That's the only thing we really want to keep. The addition or the edit to the policy is we include the indication of what branch of service they served under. It used to be that the color was blue, then and it had white lettering, but we don't, the color may change, but what will not change is we want the indication of what branch of service. Mr. McCrisky, what do you think?
I agree with that. That was my concern with the blue and white sign. They look like every other blue and white sign in town. They look like a traffic sign. We're honoring a veteran. They deserve better than that. I agree with my colleague Deborah on the branch of service. It is put in letters now, but for I think the first ones we did now, Sharon, the last one you did, the last ones had the seal, and that's what we want to have
Sharon,
on the sign.
can you please come forward, please? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I was just...
Right, so...
I'm tired.
We had the seal of the branch of service, the Navy, the Marines, Army, Air Force, Coast Guard. That shows the branch of the service without just USN, second class. It's a little more appealing to the eye. And the color, I did speak with Deborah during the process of a possibility of a gray sign with some black and white in it that is more Stoughton colored. So we're personalizing it. There's some towns that we thought as well as some flags that we're waving. I spoke with Sharon. The town of Hull has a beautiful, beautiful sign. But I just think if we're gonna honor a veteran, let's honor them with what represents their name when it's on. These things are just, no disrespect intended. DPW has done them for a long time, and then they switched it off to a vendor, and it's basically just a reflective sign. It's the same thing if it was a yellow arrow pointing to the left. I just think that if we're going to honor a veteran and we're going to recognize them as a stand apart from the average resident for what they've done for our town and for our country, it should be a damn better looking sign than what it is now. That's all.
Do
We
you
did-
agree with all that?
Yes, and we did.
What I'm frustrated with is there was a group that was supposed to come here with consensus on the final product for all the board members. Now it sounds like we're debating it all over.
No.
No,
It
we
should
did,
be
the
in there.
last two Memorial Square signs we did add the actual emblem.
Right.
And
Then it
to
should
add,
be in here.
Yeah.
that should be added here.
Right.
Yeah, and we also did,
That's
for
what I
the
thought it
first
was
time,
going
we
to be.
added, one of them had a Purple Heart. It was a Purple Heart recipient, and we felt that should be noted as well, so going forward.
Are there any other new ideas? I
That's
feel like
about
we're
it.
starting over. I'm sorry for being frustrated.
No,
because it's already started. That's this is the policy, and to Sharon's credit, my hat's off to her that she took an idea that Deborah and I were talking about and implemented it. So that's a great
I
thing.
don't
We're
see it
just,
anywhere here, Joe.
it's not in there yet. And I don't know what happened with that. I didn't have it
But
because
that's what I gotta
my draft that I handed back to Deborah had that in there, so I don't know.
Make it clear to the department heads that nothing comes to this board unless it's perfect. Ever again. We've spent so much time tonight, this is my fault, on stuff that's coming to you that's not perfect. Whether it's lines that are missing, whether it's a discussion you've had, I don't mean you, Sharon, any department head with board members, it should, out of respect for you, it should never come here unless it's fully vetted. It's not ready for prime time. sorry to be upset over it. I'm trying to bring about some legislative acumen to this, but I feel like I'm starting over now again. This was supposed to be a perfect document that was negotiated and formalized between the stakeholders. And now it's not perfect. And I'm sorry. I'm apologizing to you. It should not be before you tonight. And nobody informed me, not a department head on the engineering piece, not anybody on anything else, that there were some things that need to change before we get here. I thought we came here with consensus. I'm sorry to sound upset, but it's taking way too long, folks. We're better at making policy than we're showing. I said that to everybody on this board today. Sorry.
Are there any other comments or questions?
My amendment, does it need a motion or just written in and we'll consider, what is the process?
Same as the last. If you don't mind just sending it in writing to the town manager's office, then we'll incorporate it through that process.
Done.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Anything else?
I'm not sure it'll be to you in 2 weeks. It'll be to you when it's perfect.
Sure. That's perfectly fine. Mr. Gito, anything?
I got a question after Lou.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Mr. Carrera.
Once this, through you to the town manager, once this is set, then this is what we'll go by, right?
Consistent.
Now, sometimes we've overridden them. Is that possible, or is that off the table?
I'm so glad you raised that.
I was afraid to ask it because I thought I was going to get yelled at.
Not by me. I asked that a line item be put in there that says, at the discretion of the board, this policy can be waived. And it's not here. I'm apologizing. The reason we had Craig here tonight is that nobody was coming tonight. So I called him an hour before the meeting. You folks are not responsible for doing our jobs. And I have no problem with you pushing back on me and saying, don't bring anything before this board unless it's fully vetted until it's accurate, 100% accurate. And then I will put that same pressure on department heads. You're volunteers to lead this town. You shouldn't have to spend 5 minutes trying to figure out what page it's on, Scott, or where the sentence is that's missing from the document, why it's numbered in the wrong order. Number 3, 5, 7, go back and find it. I'm not going to put up with it anymore. And I told department heads of that, and I'm going to start enforcing it. And I apologize to you for not getting A+ work, because it's what you're getting. We're better than that. Scott, this is not my issue with the board. It's my issue with my team. I feel bad for the board.
So the only thing I wrote down, because that's why I was going to run it by you, it said that add in that a majority of the select board shall and can override the Veteran Square Committee for reasons of discretion.
Absolutely.
Is that all right? So I can write that down and send it to you?
Stop pretending like you're afraid.
Write mine too, Scott, please.
And Scott, if I may, on the bottom half of the first page, there are exceptions to the eligibility items. The select board has the right to disregard certain policies and override it. So would that be in addition to that?
Where's this?
Where on the bottom part of the first page, where it says Veterans Memorial Square approvals and placement. It does give on there the items, the criteria items that the select board has the option of basically overriding.
So the sentence
intent-
that I see is the select board will vote on whether or not the application will be approved. Is that the line you're referring to?
Yes.
What we're trying to do, Sharon, is there is oftentimes extenuating circumstances that can't be forecasted in policy. We would want the policy-making board of the town to have the authority on a case-by-case basis, make an exception to this policy. Or, should they choose to make that case-by-case a permanent change, they're the policymakers, they'll make a permanent change. But there needs to, we're not going to every day say, hey, Charlie Brown's a great friend, we want to change the thing. But if somebody only worked 9 years in community service, and he's been extraordinary, or she has been extraordinary, we expect our policymakers to use good judgment in making exceptions to the policy.
Right, and that's part of what this paragraph,
But it's not as explicit as it needs to be.
okay.
Sorry,
I apologize, Mr. Chairman, and that just happened recently with Hank Kerbawi.
Exactly.
And the policy was written so strong that a man that documented in photos Stoughton for over 50 years, another part of the cause of a clause in the policy wouldn't be able to get it. And that's when it was, I think it was done basically verbally and said, hey, listen, it should be done. And it was approved by the committee just recently, which is a good thing, because there's some people they do things that we don't even know people in our town. They work with homeless people, they work with single mothers, they work with elderly, and because it's not spelled out in the policy identically, it mentioned specifically youth sports. There's a lot of people that don't do youth sports, and that shouldn't be. And 20 years. That's a long time. I mean, there's a couple people here that have donated more than 20 years of their time, and we think we should have our head examined at times. But, so I like the way it is right now. And the fact that, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the town manager, in this case.
I think I've managed to get everybody upset with me.
Oh,
I'm not upset.
no, not me at all. But I just want to recognize the fact that when this was started to be discussed, never mind documented, but discussed, Sharon started implementing things, what she could do. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So
I respectfully believe it's this board's authority to tell us what is right and wrong, not to make our own judgments.
Yeah, if you don't mind me interjecting, I think that's sort of the point here is that this isn't like the SATs where like you have to get a certain score in order to pass. Like this is a judgment, and we have some guidelines that help us make that judgment. But there are times when the guidelines, didn't foresee something that's still relevant to us. They aid us in making good judgments. They are not themselves capable of making judgment, right? So we have to rely on ourselves to do that. And we've done that in the past. Takes a little bit. I think it kind of takes a little bit of. It takes a little bit of bravery to step outside of these things and to say, like, yeah, this is a policy, but like it's missing something important here, and I'm not going to let this stand. So I think we've made the right decision in the past, making an effort to clean this up and provide maybe some additional tools to help us make good judgment. Great. At the end of the day, though, it comes down to our judgment, and that's sort of the end of the story.
Steve, if I may?
Yes.
I'm sorry. We did have that, like Joe mentioned, a few weeks ago, the committee met regarding Hank Kerbawi in the application. And we also had talked about the amendments that we had put forth with the board to try to get a formalized, updated policy. The committee also realized it was outdated, it needed to be revised, and we based our decision based on the amendments that were talked about on this new policy, which is why it has not come before the board yet to vote on the Hank Kerbawi Square. So that's what we were waiting on, that was what our decision, the committee was based on, was these changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts, did you have any further comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Some time ago, we were talking about that one line that says regarding exceptions, and it comes to the board. Whether we have it in the policy or not is by, I guess you say, de facto, we are the policymakers, and we can override. And I think it's very important for us to just recall the first bullet point on that page 1 under eligibility. It says the person under consideration must be deceased. But when I forgot Joe's last name that recently passed away. Joe DeVito, it was important that we overrode that decision so he could see that before he couldn't see it anymore. And we felt very good that we made that decision. So exceptions can be made in extenuating circumstances like the Joe DeVito case. And I was so glad to be a part of that decision.
So, through you, Mr. Chairman, I couldn't have said that any better, Deborah. This is the purview, the authority of the chief policymakers of the town. You said de facto, and you're so right. It's implied already by your position that the majority of this board can change any policy at any time for any reason. But in this particular case, because there's an advisory board, we do need to stipulate the obvious, that the board at its discretion may at any time. You know, there's a point that we don't often make. A lot of people do community service in a very quiet way, in a very dignified, quiet way. They don't want anybody to know. And they could die in obscurity without anybody except one of the board members knowing about that. And so that's one of the reasons. Sharon, I want to make sure that the advisory board understands, or the committee, what do we call it? The committee. That they're advising the board on this. But this is where the decisions are made.
Yeah, and I believe they do. They understand the select board has the ultimate decision.
Okay.
They, a lot of times we get things that the committee doesn't feel is ready to go before the board, and we try to help them. You know, can you give us a little bit more?
Sure.
You know, in most cases, we're able to get that and bring it before, but even if the committee feels there still isn't enough, we will still give them the option of going before the board. That's their right. A lot of times, though, the committee does feel like they're, because of the policy, the way it was written before, we're just kind of spinning their wheels. They're spending time on this and feeling that based on, they had to go by what was written, whether they denied it or approved it to go forward.
In their application, I'm sorry, Steve, through you.
Yes, sir.
In their request of the board, they can make a very strong pitch of the exception they're proposing, as long as they understand that the decision, the vote, is in the hands of the five members.
Yes, and they do understand that fully.
Yeah, so they should still present it.
Yes.
They're looking for an exception.
Yeah, they have the right to go before the board no matter what the committee decides.
Right, right.
Can I say
Steve?
something, Steve?
Of course, Mr. Carrera.
I want to touch on what Tom said. There's a lot of people that do things, and they don't grandstand, they just do them. And there's a fellow that's, I've known him for a long time. Tom knows, you know who, everybody knows who he is. And it's funny, I'll be working on a street, and then I'll see his pickup truck pull up, and he gets out and runs up to the house, knocks on the door, and he Meals on Wheels.
Yep.
You know, and some people might think, oh, what is that really doing enough? This guy's retired. He's a veteran. He could sit at home, watch TV, but he's running around delivering that stuff, and I see him all the time when I'm working in town here
As a
and there.
volunteer.
Yeah. And he does it with such grace, such a smile that it, you know, it makes you feel good that you can do something at this level for somebody. And it's just, it's a good feeling that somebody that's seen war still has that drive.
And this is a point that was brought up many times, like a lot of times.
Thanks, Joe.
If the committee doesn't know that person, or the select board doesn't know that person, and now they're deceased, they don't know everything that person did. That's why it has come up many times about putting in applications before someone is deceased, because they themselves know what they've done over the years. There may not be pictures or newspaper articles or any documentation. So that's what makes it more challenging to give these squares to someone who's very well deserving,
One more time, sorry.
but there is just no documentation. So that is a challenge with that.
So if I may, through the chair, ask the committee members, and I know it's late, that was a question Sharon asked. I'd ask, would you mind if it's put in here, that an applicant or an applicant's family can apply before they're deceased, but it won't be taken up by the board until after they're deceased, unless you make an exception to this policy. In other words, what Sharon was asking me last week is, the applicant may not even be able to speak at the end. Can the family make out the application well in advance? And she'll just hold them on file. And then you can, at your discretion, bring them before the board, and they, through their authority, can take that before the person is deceased. So unless the members disagree, I would say let people make out applications in advance, but you'll only recommend the ones under unusual circumstances.
You could call it like a living square. You know what I mean? Like, come in and say, hey, can we do a living square? Something that's sounds good. You know what I mean?
It wouldn't actually be implemented until that person passes. But that while that person's still with us, they will be able to assist with that application on what they've done. That's where they're running into the problem.
Unless you take a vote to bring it forth while the person's
Right, in
there.
circumstances like in the case of Joe DeVito, we knew of that circumstance, so it made sense. That could happen again.
So if you bring some relevance to it, they've had cases where people have passed, and they can't collect data that only the person who passed had.
That's right.
So what Sharon's talking about is
Trotta.
inviting people to make out application while the candidate is still living, although it may not be considered until the applicant's deceased. It's your discretion.
Mr. Chairman, for me, it's because Deborah brought this up, and I don't know if I mentioned it. I think I'm the only person that ever told a veteran that was terminally ill that he was getting a square, and watched a guy who could chew nails and spit them back out at you. Actually, a tear rolled down his face, and just couldn't respond. And that was my good friend Joe DeVito. To tell him that, it just made his day, and it's one of the few times that I'll tell you, it'll level as tough as rough as we all think we are. That'll just put you in a pile of mush when you saw his face and how he responded. And he did have his sign. He knew it was with him. It was with him when he passed. And he really couldn't respond much, but his family told him the sign was there, and he recognized that he knew what they said. And so he knew that that sign was with him when he passed. So that, if anything, it means a little bit more than a lot of them. And I'll be honest with you, I'll tell you now, and maybe it'll get conversation going, I have every intention, maybe not this town meeting coming up, but the next, that we just change the whole policy thing and just put something of a Veterans Memorial Park and put something similar to the Vietnam Wall, panes that we can add to, that you don't need this long application, that everybody that served in our military can be recognized. They lived in their town, can have it put on, be a lot easier. There's some beautiful ones throughout the country. I'm lucky enough to do a little bit of traveling, and I've seen them. And it really brings a whole new atmosphere. And we have the Faxon Veterans Park. It's there in name. It's got Charlie Lodge's name on the gazebo. It's got a howitzer up there, some cannonballs. But that would be the place where we could put panes, and this process would be a lot easier. We're running out of locations for squares. That's another thing, so great. I'm all done. Shut my mic off.
I appreciate it. I think we've beaten someone up pretty good, but if anybody has any further comments, I don't want to cut them off. Okay, so we're going to move on, and we'll come back around to this either the next meeting or at least the following meeting.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
On the consent agenda, we're going to pull item number A until I've asked Scott if he wouldn't mind looking at that trailer.
Sure.
To make sure we're taking a donation that's not a liability. And Scott's agreed to do so, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Perfect. So then on consent agenda, item B, Stoughton Day event at Halloran Park at Pierce Street on September 27th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve that item?
So made.
Second.
The motion was made by Mr. Carrera, seconded by Vice Chair Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That is unanimous. And now we are at the end of the night. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So made.
Second.
Motion was made by Vice Chair Roberts and seconded by Mr. Carrera. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The time is 10:16. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful evening. Meeting's adjourned.